Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Discovery Pod with Eve. I am Eve Richards. Our guest today's name is synonymous with enigma and talent. As a renowned actor, singer, and performer, he's captured the hearts of audiences around the globe with his magnetic presence and versatile skills. He captured hearts as a teen idol and continues to inspire with his timeless music and captivating stage presence. Oh, and you never know, he might actually sing for us today. So, please make sure you watch this episode on the Discovery Pod with Eve's YouTube channel, or you could listen to us on Google, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever podcast is available. Have any questions regarding what I'm wearing? You could check it out on the Discovery Pod with Eve's YouTube channel, or send me a DM on Instagram at Eve Richards. I am joined today by my co-host, my friend, actress Melissa Smith. Melissa is actually from Seattle, Washington. She's got into modeling at age 7 and started acting at 12. However, Melissa decided to get married and start a family. In 2020, she had the acting bug and she decided to get back into acting. And most recently, she relocated from Seattle, Washington to LA to continue working as an actress. And ever since she moved, she's been very busy. So, Melissa, welcome. I have a question for you.
Yes.
This is a conversation that you and I have talked about so many times because, this show is all about inspiring others. And one of the things that resonates with me is mental health. Some of the things that you do, as you know, I do a lot of blogs about mental health, about the things that I do. I love yoga, I love exercises, because life gets in the way and it becomes a little bit overwhelming. What do you do to stay mentally zen?
I do a lot of deep breathing. I have to do a lot of woosah deep breathing. I do yoga. I write in a journal. I do a lot of writing. I just spill it out on a piece of paper, everything that I'm feeling. It's not,
Yes.
It's really nice to have that release. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll take a nice bath.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Another thing too,
Or I talk to you.
Oh, of course, right? Every day.
Yes.
So, a lot of folks out there, they want to make that move from wherever they are in the world.
Yes.
They want to relocate to LA. A lot of people are pursuing acting or music or whatever. You relocated, even though you used to come to LA, but you're now living in LA on a full-time basis.
Yes.
So how has it been? What advice would you give anyone out there who wants to pursue whatever career, whatever dream they have?
Take the leap. Take the leap. Do not wait.
Wow.
You only get one life. You don't want to look back and have regrets, and if you have a dream, follow them. Always follow your dream. Do not ever give up. Don't ever give up. Reach for the stars.
Amazing. That's excellent advice. Great segue into introducing our guest, Rex Smith.
Yes.
Captured the hearts of millions of fans, especially teenage girls, with his good looks and captivating performances. Oh, he's noted for his role as Jesse in the television series Street Hawk.
Yes.
He was the first actor to play the Marvel Comics superhero Daredevil in live action.
Incredible.
It goes on and on, right? And his Broadway debut in Grease as Danny Zuko.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That made him a bona fide star.
It did.
Gosh, can we go on? He hosted Solid Gold.
My favorite show when I was a child. My favorite show. I was going to be a solid gold dancer. Literally a solid gold dancer.
Can you believe that? He's been on soap operas.
Yes.
He had a show which debuted in 2014 called Confessions of a Teen Idol.
Yes.
Which was basically a multimedia look at his career and private life. He's a rock and roll star. He's done movies, television. Gosh, he had a gigantic hit when he was a teenager called You Take My Breath Away. I'm not going to try to sing here, so I'm not going to embarrass myself. But it goes on and on and on. So it is amazing to have him here with us today. Rex, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for that intro. I hope I can live up to it. Whoever that guy is, it's amazing, amazing guy.
Yes. So, Rex, I know that performing can be very addicting. Definitely addicting. So, you were a teen idol. How were you able to maintain balance in your life and in television or all that? How were you able to balance all that at one time?
What the real basis of my whole career that people are really unaware of is I signed with Columbia Records in 1976. I was managed by Aerosmith's managers, and I had my own band called Rex.
Wow.
And I toured with Ted Nugent for 2 years, 2 6-month tours, 77, 78. I played everywhere from Anaheim Stadium to Madison Square Garden. Played the last concert with Leonard Skinner before we were playing Madison Square Garden. They had the tragic plane crash. Mm-hmm. That was on my second 6-month tour. And producers came to the show to check me out. And I was offered a movie called Sooner or Later. And that is where, so my first 2 albums are very hard rock and roll, good time rock and roll. And at that point, I did the movie. It sounded fun. I came off tour. I said, yeah, I'd never done a movie. I did a movie, and You Take My Breath Away was attached to the movie. And that's what really turned me into a teen idol overnight. And it was literally overnight because Sooner or Later was the name of the movie, played Sunday night on NBC back when there was 3 channels. And right. The next day, I went to Bloomingdale's. I was living in New York when there was only one Bloomingdale's.
Yeah.
New York was really Oz. And I was at sort of loose ends. And I went down, I guess I'll buy a sweater, a shirt or something, I rode my motorcycle down. And I was standing in there and I saw Bill Cosby being interviewed. And he was, there was lights and camera and people were, yelling and screaming. And I remember standing there going, that guy can't go anywhere. And then, I don't know, 10 minutes later, I'd locked myself in a dressing room and there's a couple of hundred girls trying to break the door down. And the police showed up, the NYPD going, who the hell are you? And I was like, well,
wow.
It's like a Holiday Inn ad. I said, I don't know. I was on a movie last night. And
wow.
It was literally overnight what happened with that. So from hard rocker to now teen idol, but I had 6 months waiting for that movie to come out. Yeah. I was the only one signed to Columbia, and they had dropped my band, and now I was a solo act. And I was at loose ends, and I was riding my motorcycle around New York. And one night, a friend, I was having a beer with him, and I was complaining about waiting for this movie to come out. But he goes, why don't you go down and audition for Danny Zuko in Greece? I go, what are you talking about? He goes, it's an open call. Anybody in the city can go.
Wow.
And so I joined about 1,000 other guys, and that's how I got Danny Zuko.
Amazing.
So now I've hard rocker, been on rock and roll every Coliseum in America. Then I do a movie. Now I'm on Broadway.
Incredible.
While I'm doing Danny Zuko, the movie came out, and that's when it really hit the fan.
Wow.
And it was Beatlemania without John, George, and Paul or whatever for a good, a good year and a half. And
wow. Incredible.
It was unmanageable at times, I had to have bodyguard stuff, and it was also at the peak of all that was can put my finger on the night of the loneliest night of my career in my penthouse in New York, Saturday night, the world at my feet, and sitting at my dining table, just head in my hands. All my friends looked at me differently. The world looked at me differently.
Yeah. Scary.
Yeah, that was the point.
I have a question for you. Taking you back, I think when I started doing the research and I was intrigued by your life story, but I think what resonated with me specifically was when you were doing the play Sunset Boulevard and you had just performed, you were signing autographs, and a young 16-year-old boy came out to give you he wanted you to sign his autograph. But there was this uncanny resemblance to you. And you found out he was your son, which I thought the way you embraced him, just based on all the research, was incredible. So take us back to that special time in your life when you were going through a divorce. You had 2 young daughters.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, if you want to follow a life in the arts, be prepared for there can be a lot of heartache too, because it is a jealous lover.
Yeah.
And between the travel and et cetera, Brandon is the oldest of my 5 children. And we talk to each other every single day.
Wow.
Every day.
Incredible.
Because he knew what he didn't have. My other kids, if I get an emoji from them, I'm like, hey, honey, I got a smiley face. So it is, the story behind Brandon is, in 1979, I was most popular young man from New York to Tokyo.
Wow.
And I was starring or appearing at the Calgary Stampede in Canada, the biggest rodeo in the world. And I was 23, and the Columbia rep was 23, and she was a delightful girl. And for 3 days, she accompanied me through all the craziness that was going on wherever I went.
Yeah.
Including the show. During the show, the crowd pushed so hard, a girl had her leg broken, and I pulled her up on stage, and we got her off and took care of her. And anyway, the last night, it's a full moon. We're 23, both of us. It's a Mustang convertible, top down, and
wow.
Doing what a pair of
23-year-olds
have to do. And I remember saying, I have 2 weeks R&R at the Kahala Hilton Presidential Suite. Mm-hmm. Would you like to go? You want to go to Hawaii and just see where this lands? Because she was a breath of fresh air. And she said, yeah, I'm separated, going through a divorce, and it just wouldn't work. So there was no moment, with the snowstorm and holding on, going, what, goodbye. It was like they were going to grab me and throw me on a plane if I didn't leave anyway. Mm-hmm. So, and I was on an adventure, and it was like, well, I asked, and I never heard from her again. Wow. And not until I was doing a Wednesday matinee of Sunset. I did 650 shows of that with Diane Carroll, who was a fantastic lady. Yeah. Just wonderful experience. And there's an empty seat. It's about a 1,600 seat theater, huge theater. There's an empty seat right dead center. And in the second act, where I open the show singing the title song, Sunset Boulevard, there's this 16-year-old boy sitting right there, and wow. He is burning a hole through me wherever I am on stage. He's watching me, not any, pretty much I did everything on stage. Pretty heavy load lifting there in that show. And what I'm proud of, I was ending almost 2 years in Canada, doing the show, and I had set up in the lobby after the first bow. I'd run out and take a Polaroid and autographs for charity. So when I met my son, he was lined up with people witnessing his father in a white suit taking Polaroids for charity, and his turn came up, and I wish I had that picture. Yeah. We took a photo together, and I was signing it, and I remember saying, what's your name? He said, Brandon. I said, you seem like a very intense young man. Are you interested in the arts? And I looked up, and Atlas shrugged, and I was a little tilted on its axis. Wow. I was looking at my firstborn son. And I remember saying to my dresser, I said, I almost fainted. Wow. I said, take this young man to the green room. And the green room in the theater was downstairs of the lobby. And it was a brand new theater, beautiful. The green room is where sofas and coffee and stuff for actors to mingle in between, on intermission or whatever, before the show. And he gave me one last look, and it was this sort of Charles Dickens, like goodbye forever look. And he told me later, because he was homeless at the time.
Wow.
His mother, they had tragedies, with drugs and things occurred. The man he thought was his father was a drug dealer. I mean, it was hard news. And he said, Dad, when you said take him to the green room, I thought that was like carnival talk for like, take him to the dumpster, throw him out.
Wow.
But we went to, I took him to lunch, and that was the beginning of this journey that is heaven sent.
Incredible.
And it was a natural thing, really. I don't believe in any scarlet letter, and it was, it's a boy. Yeah. And I've got 2 grandchildren, Buchanan and Victoria, that I share with him, and that, believe it or not, that's him calling me right now. I hope it's not interrupting.
That's incredible. So just to piggyback on that question, what advice would you...
Oh, right. I told you. Oh, did I get rid of you? Oh, there we go. So, go ahead.
So to piggyback on this question regarding Brandon, what advice would you give to any young performer, just because these are things that you hear all the time? You were able to integrate Brandon into your life, but which is a great success story. And that's not something you hear all the time. So what advice would you give to any young person out there?
Searching for their parent, or what? Just
someone who is a performer, who's out there performing in their heydays and meeting a lot of fans and women. And
my father told me all fame is fleeting, and I've always hung on to that. I've enjoyed success when it's there. The most important you is the you in between your performances and in between the jobs. It's that's where you really must be grounded, and I've always found it in family and children. And it's fleeting. It's water through a sieve. It's in motion. Careers are in motion. They explode on, they go. There's always the falling star, a star is born and a star falls. It is, it's up to you it's almost, there's really not sort of there's Alcoholics Anonymous and this and that, but there also is sort of I believe, a performer's anonymous kind of thing of how you live your life in the in-betweens. That's the most important thing. If you're not regarding your personal life, and if you're not looking after yourself in a very healthy manner, the applause is always over. Yeah. And every show that opens ends, everything that begins ends. And that is how I am happily, as we were doing this interview, which I'm on my phone, and I'm talking about Brandon, and there's Brandon calling
you.
Calls every day. So that's just one. I mean, all my children are, I've invested everything into them. It's a natural, it's just built in my DNA. And it's exhibited in Brandon too. He is so much, we are so alike, and it's nature or nurture. Is it really? I mean, I didn't teach him to walk and everything, but he moves his hands like me. He talks like me. It's he loves his children like me.
Wow.
He's a good man. But for young people, I'm sort of like the frozen man. I was fortunate enough to live in a world when I started out, left Atlanta up to New York after playing in bands, since high school. The world was still a world. You had to go out that front door, and if you had the inertia and the belief in yourself, there was places to go and connect. Yeah. It is very disconnected now, like TikTok and such, an influencer or something. Yeah. But that is not something I'm skilled at talking about. But it is, it's still, my journey. I had a soccer scholarship to University of Georgia. Wow. And I didn't take it because I knew what I wanted to do. It was so, Elon Musk is a dreamer, right? Yeah. Every successful person has their dream they attach to. It's not just the dream of showbiz. Yeah. It's the dream of science. It's the dream of medicine. It's that is your balloon that lifts you. That is what sets you on your journey. if you don't have the dream and you don't really feel, you don't have to be told you have it or not. Yep. You'll know. If you do, you know.
Yep.
And a journey like this, with all this behind me of various things, it is, there was no fallback for me. It was only, as I went, it was always move forward, keep moving forward, don't step back. And what I was fortunate, here's the last thing, and I hope it for any young person. My parents were behind me 100% when I made my decision. And that's a tough pill to take. Your youngest son saying, I'm not going to take
That's funny.
No rock star. And, but they supported me 100%. And that's a great lift. Not everybody has that, there's a pull of like, you can't do it at them. Their last attempt was to go, look, how about we send you to Academy of Dramatic Arts up in New York? How about that? And I said, no, I don't want to be Marlon Brando. I want to be Mick Jagger.
Incredible advice.
So, looking back, in your younger days, when you were traveling, you were on top of the world, you had screaming fans all over the place. Now, if you could travel back to that time again, what would you do differently?
I think, the only thing that I do different, I might have, like I said, I just kept moving ahead. I'd have more, I would have, I find possessions possess you, so I never held on. I just kept moving ahead. I wouldn't mind, I wish I hadn't gotten rid of my open cockpit biplane that I used to fly aerobatic. It would be totally unaffordable now. But do differently. I've done, if a genie came and said, I can rub this and you could be 21 again, I'd go, well, back then or now? He'd go, now. I'd go, I'm fine. I'm good. I enjoyed that time and that ride. I think, like I said about the sacrifices that, I don't know who said it. It's it was something I read saying the baby carriage is the death of the actor or the artist, and I never bought into that. I always found that was my outrigger canoe. That was my balancing act. It was family, but
nice. Kept you grounded.
Staying grounded. Mm-hmm. I think people. It's tragic to think of young people from West Point to performers to things with fentanyl and deaths, an instantaneous death on what's supposed to be a party night. It is, but it's always been fraught with disaster, I tell you what, I went to bed before the sun came up. That was all those people who go, Rex, where are you going? I go, gone, I'm home. And that, and 8 shows a week. The responsibility of that is that I'm in pretty good kit today, 68. And,
wow.
And it's, so doing something different, I don't really have I don't have a moment that I go, I know that I made mistakes and I learned from them, but that's part of the journey. If I wiped out any part of it, it would probably affect it all, like that butterfly effect.
Yep. Total different outcome.
Wow. So you actually performed the washed out pop star, Billy Mack, in a movie that everyone loves, Love Actually. Yes. How did it feel playing this character and being nearly naked on stage? I mean, it was so fun, and the LA Times did an amazing review of your performance. So why did you decide to do it?
Well, Bill Nye was fantastic, and he's, he was a actor playing an aging rock star, and I'm an aging rock star playing an actor in the show. At the very end of the show, I'm wearing a Liberace red velvet robe with a train and ermine collared, and I whip it off, and I'm wearing just some gold boxer shorts my wife got on Amazon for $12, and a Stratocaster guitar and cowboy boots. And for that 5 minutes at the end of the show, because I'm the surprise ending and like the epilogue or whatever, the show's over, and then I come out, show's not over till the rock star sings. And for those 5 minutes, I'm right back to Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
So that for me, and it was great. I've done it 4 times, and I'm proud of the fact of this through COVID and all of it. I'm the only performer that never missed a show. So I'm sort of, that's always been my, I've been sort of known for that come hell or high water, I'm going to make that show. And this past year, exhibited that I was, they were, a lot of people fell out, and I'm the only one that, there's very few of us, a couple of us that have done all 4 seasons of it, but it was a great experience. It has been. Mm-hmm. And this year especially, people were, after being locked down and everything, and people being, no, you're masked, you're not, everybody was free again. And they were roaring at the end of that show, like it was a Springsteen concert. They were, and it was Billy Mack brought it out of them, and they went from sitting watching a show to and that is a wonderful elixir, and that's great to be almost a magician and able to do that out. And it was all done with smiles, Yeah. It was everybody just and people. There is a desire in theater. What I love about theater is it's an experience you take in your heart. You don't rewind it. You don't walk away and go and come back. You got to be there. And the best compliment I ever had, I got in a New York cab with a real New York cabbie in the day. And I got to the place I was going, and I said, how much? He goes, I saw you. I took my wife to see you on Broadway. No charge. And I never forget Ben Brantley for a good review, but that was the best review you could get.
Wow. Incredible.
So is there anything, no, I'm really curious because, again, I was a really big fan of Solid Gold and I watched you all the time.
Oh, yeah, Solid Gold.
So is there any little juicy little nuggets or tidbits that you can give us from back in your heyday as a rock and roll?
Nuggets and tidbits. I went on as a guest, and this is a tragic thing of, Andy Gibb played, the real thing here's a little quick little flashcards.
Oh my gosh. Wow, look at you there.
Oh wow. Oh my goodness. Memories.
Wow, incredible.
That's amazing. Can you send us one of those?
Wow, that's incredible.
Here's Linda and I was talking to Linda last year, and I said, Linda, I don't know if I'm talking through my hat, but I brag to people that I have sung more with Linda Ronstadt than she finished it, than anybody in my life, because we did it for a year on Broadway, did the movie, and we're singing 8 shows a week of light opera. They call it light opera, but that's a B flat below high C that I'm singing. And then here's Street Hawk.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And then, of course, there's Daredevil.
Yes.
So back to Solid Gold.
Yes, Solid Gold.
I'm doing my 6th album, and I'm up in San Francisco finishing the album, and I went down to do Solid Gold, and Andy played my part in Pirates, Penzance in the LA company. And he was a lovely, lovely young man, and he should have just stayed home in Australia. He was not built for the dark side and the downside and the pitfall of this business.
So sad.
And on YouTube you can find it, Andy Gibb, Rex Smith, whatever, Solid Gold. And there was one moment when he introduced me and he was going, he starred in the original. It wasn't original, it was 100 years old when we opened it, but it was a new look. And we both did, Maya's fully open to my situation as your girl wants to Mabel, I'm gonna make her an oration, this patter song. And that was, at that moment, I think the producers were looking at me and looking at him. He also had a terrific, unfortunately, alcohol and drugs, and he was unable to show up for work and couldn't really handle his contract. And so I was asked to guest host. So I'm living at the Beverly Hills Hotel, Bungalow 7, which was Marilyn Monroe's bungalow, whatever.
Wow.
When I was Tina, I used to stay there. Nice. So I have the bungalow, and I've got a cabana at the very last cabana at the deep end of the Beverly Hills pool, when the Beverly Hills pool is 1981.
Wow.
What's the power play? I'm sitting there in my Speedo. The producer comes, and we're having the McCarthy salad, which was the most beautiful Cobb salad, everything cut perfectly, perfect squares of everything. Reading it, and he goes, "Rex, I'm here to offer you $500,000 to host Solid Gold this year."
Wow.
And I pulled my fork and I went, "You ever go to the fair and you hit that thing and you try to hear the bell ring?"
Yeah.
I said, "I'm not hearing the bell." I put my fork down and I jumped in the pool like Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate.
Wow.
And I went down to the bottom and I held my breath as long as I could. I could see him looking up. I could see him looking down at me, right? And I pushed off the bottom. I came up. His hand was out, and I took his hand. He goes, "That was $1 million to
Wow.
That's the power of the deep end of the Beverly Hills pool."
In 1981, too, that was a lot of money.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah. So I'm later on. I'm at the grocery store getting some beer. I was going to a barbecue, and I looked at the National Enquirer. I'm just in line. He goes, "Rex Smith breaks the record first to make $1 million in syndicated TV." And I went,
wow.
"I think I'll get imported," And that's when I bought my Great Lakes biplane, and I was flying aerobatics over Malibu, and I used to tell Linda I was going to buzz her house, and Jerry Brown was her boyfriend, and they'd be out waving towels, and I'd be hanging by the straps, like coming over Malibu, inverted,
Nice. Wow.
That's amazing.
Incredible.
Love those kind of stories.
So
I had, so it was, I worked 6 days a month, 3 days every 2 weeks. I mean, and Andy couldn't handle that. I mean, he just wasn't. And it was tragic. I remember the day he died. I was out walking my dog, and I came back, and my first daughter, was in her playpen. And I came back, and my wife said, "I heard on the radio, he had died." And I was like, "You take the high road, and I'll take the low." And so I really always have a special place in my heart of like sadness for him, because the pressures of the Bee Gees and such. My brother Michael Lee, who had a band Stars on Capitol Records, he toured. He was managed by Kiss's manager. I was managed by Aerosmith. We were both lead singers in the 70s. Anyway, and my cousin, my album Forever, we wrote several songs on there, Forever, Let's Make a Memory, and such. And Columbia wanted us to be the American Bee Gees. I was like, this is, as an adjunct to my career, I said, "This is fantastic." Anyway, they got a little steamed up about, "Oh, we're going to get ripped off." I go, "Of course you're going to get ripped off, but better the devil you know. If you know going in you're going to be ripped off, then you're there you can protect yourself more, but you're going to be a star. We're going to sell some records. It's going to be fun." And it didn't happen, and I always regretted that.
Wow.
But you know what? When things go south, it's better they go south now than later.
Absolutely.
Yes. So you have a song called The Greatest Moment. What was the inspiration for the song, and do you have a favorite song? Last question. So would you mind singing one of your favorite songs? I'm sure our audiences would love to hear you sing.
I don't know. Let me hang on. You know what? When you said that,
so you have a favorite. You have a song called "The Greatest Moment." What was the inspiration for the song?
Oh man. Well, that's a big song. Let me see if I can find it. I got to look it up. I can find it, but just keep talking.
Do you have a favorite song?
Here, I'll do "Take My Breath Away."
Yes. Awesome.
This is, hello, testing. Is this thing working?
It's working.
Is my mic working? It must be. Yeah?
Yes. Come on,
Okay.
you're living, you're giving me my childhood dream here, so.
Whoa. This is special.
What's that?
The thing about You Take My Breath Away, when I did the movie Sooner or Later, it was my first day of filming ever in a movie. I got up at 5 or whatever. I filmed all day. I go to New York. Charlie Colello, who produced all of the 4 seasons, He produced the album sooner or later. And the first song on deck was You Take My Breath Away.
Wow.
Now, I had just come in from filming. It's 7 o'clock at night. I'd been filming all day. I go in the studio. I'm quite comfortable in the studio. And I said, had my headphones on. I'm playing a little bit. I go, give me a little more treble, just a touch of reverb. That's good. Okay, thanks. And then I said, all right, just roll it. Let me just run through one time. Right. So I was just doing a run through. Let's see if this works. Come on. Why are you stuck? Here we go. Okay. Okay.
I'm writing.
Okay. And can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I did it in one take. This is one take, and I wasn't even doing it to record.
Oh.
I was only doing a run through. And I'll tell you how it ends at the end. I don't know what to say. You take my breath away. You're every song I sing. You're the music that I play. And you take my breath away. You smile and it's okay. You take my breath away. Like water from a spring on a sizzling summer day. Oh, you take my breath away. There was so magic of a sunrise. Only none of them will do. That's enough for you. So
your voice has not changed.
Amazing. Wow.
Very good.
So when I walked in, thank you. When I walked in after singing, I did it. I just ran through it and I said, okay, I'm ready to do it. He goes, we already did it. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, it's good. Come in. I go, I didn't even sing it. He goes, come in here. And he goes, I want to show you something. And he goes, roll the tape, because there was tape back then. And he pushed up 4 faders, like volume things, and of recording. He had pre-recorded 4 backup singers going, ooh, take my breath away. And he goes, I didn't know how good you were, kid. He goes, I don't think we need that. And he said, play it. And I was playing it. And then about where I turned it off, I said, I got to go to the bathroom. And I went to the bathroom and I locked the door. And I started crying because I said, listen, I started out playing in the South 100 nights straight and such like that, in bars and beer bottles flying and fights and owners that didn't pay me and pulled out a gun and started cleaning a gun when I was saying, hey, this is only half the money. And I went, it's a hit.
Wow.
That just recorded a hit. And it didn't even occur to me that I did it in one take, that it wasn't even. So that is that's the only song out of all the songs I've ever recorded I did in one take.
Wow.
Well, there's
That's impressive.
2 songs.
Impressive.
So,
and like I said, your voice has not changed at all.
Well, you know what? I work at it. It's like tennis. It's amazing. My instrument is only this big. It's taken me around the world, made me millions, and it's only that big. And you can't go to the store and buy, get it restrung, and you can't, you don't put it in a case. I am the case.
Wow.
I'm the music case for my voice, and I work at it every day for just the joy of it, and it's a gift, and I regard it as such, and I cherish it, and I am beholden to it.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah. I never understood how Rod Stewart does it forever. I mean, he always sounds like he couldn't finish a song. Like can you do it? Or Summer of '69, Bryan Adams.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us, are there any special projects that we should know that you're working on?
I redid my upstairs bathroom, so that's
That's a good one, right?
You said projects.
Yeah.
I'm you know what? doing Love Actually was great to be with a company and such and do what I love, but it's not a landscape that I'm anxious to leave home to go. An offer to go to New York, which I had one. I'm not. I just at this time in my life, I'm not anxious to go and hit it in New York City, away from home and family and that sort of thing.
Makes
that
sense.
I've spent. I mean, let's just do the math. We'll just call the career even before it was years before.
Yeah.
But 76 signed with Columbia. We'll call that the starting gate for a major career. That's 48 years.
Oh, wow.
It's like I'm quite happy to enjoy my coffee, enjoy my books, enjoy a slower lifestyle, and I earned it.
Incredible.
I earned it. And I don't. I can tell you that there is. It would take a really interesting part because, the parts it's a strange thing because I still, if they go like, oh, the guy's 60 years old, and if I go into an audition or something, I look like Tony from West Side Story in there,
Yeah.
I don't really fit that thing, and I don't have to, and I don't care to. I'm like, I also managed to land on my feet after a long career and not be, bust and, in a tragic situation.
We're down at the 3-minute mark. And the last question that we usually ask all of our guests, if you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Errol Flynn.
Ooh.
Marcello Mastroianni. Now, I'm just a little side thing. It's George Rose's birthday. I'm only wearing a towel. I got a Budweiser in my hand because Paul Newman came 3 times. So I always kept Bud in my dressing room and we drink beer. I'm wearing a towel going over to say happy birthday because I knew he'd get a kick out of it, and all of his loving fans in his dressing room to see Rex in a towel singing happy birthday. Coming down the hall is Fellini and Marcello Mastroianni and Fellini's wife, who was in the movie. I don't remember the movie. I mean, I remember the movie, but not the title. With Anthony Quinn as a strong man, and she was sort of clown in it. Mm-hmm. They've got they're Italian. They've got the overcoats over their shoulders and everything, and they come up to me, and Fellini's pinching one cheek, and Marcello's going like this. He goes, "In Italy, we have no one like you in Italy." And I was so full of myself that I said, they don't have anybody like me in America. And I would like Marcello. Mm-hmm. And I also, another person that came, Peter O'Toole.
Wow, that's a good one.
And there was a knock at my door, and he says, "Young man, let's go have supper." And we walked all the way to PJ Clark's and had whiskey and beers and cheeseburgers at the great watering hole of New York.
Wow.
And he told stories of
incredible
and everything. But I would like to, and he left his lighter. It was a little plastic Zetan, lighter that he had. But I didn't tell him he left it. I took it as a souvenir of that evening.
Wow.
But it wasn't like it was sterling or gold.
Incredible. Rex.
I'd like to sit with those 3 men and relate to them. And of course, supersede all that, trade it all in to have an evening with my dad.
Oh, wonderful. Well, Rex, thank you so much for joining us. Your legacy is one that inspires others to pursue their passion, embrace their talents, and leave a lasting impact on the world. This has been great. Folks can actually follow you because I know you're active on Facebook, number 1, Twitter and Instagram. Rex Smith.
At Real Rex Smith.
At Real Rex Smith. Thanks again. It's been wonderful talking to you. We've had such a pleasure getting to know you.
Doctor.
And thank
I'll
you.
recommend you to all
Have a
my
great
friends.
time at the wedding.
Thank you so much. Yes, and have a great time at the wedding. It was so great to be able to talk
No,
about
I-
childhood.
This was great. Thank you, and have a great. This was a great interview.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
It was so inspirational to have someone of his caliber who's done so much. What did you take out of this?
Oh my gosh, he definitely lived a life. Definitely lived a life.
Continues to live.
Yes, I mean this could be, we could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
So I mean, this was a great interview.
And not too many people get to do what he's done.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
He was good. He's good looking. He did Broadway,
Yep.
stage.
Film.
Well,
Everything.
thanks everyone for joining us today. Please remember to watch this episode on the Discovery Pod with Eve's YouTube channel, or you can listen to us on iHeartRadio, Google, Amazon, or wherever podcast is available. Check us out every Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific time. Again, we'll talk to you next week.
Yes.
And thanks for watching. Thank you so much to our wonderful special guest. What an honor to speak to such a legend.
Absolutely.
Bye, everyone.
Everybody. Bye.
Bye.